A very good morning to all the students. In this session, I am going to discuss about a topic on S-MIME. So in the last session, we have gone through the important concepts that are related to the MIME, where MIME stands for Multipurpose Internet Mail Extensions. So as we have discussed in the last session that this MIME accepts different formats of data to be transferred via electronic mail from the sender to the receiver. Whereas the previous one, that is the RFC 5322, it only allows us to send the textual data. But MIME makes the user work very convenient. So the user can be able to send different formats of data like the video, audio, picture messages, anything the user wants to send, he can send it. And in today's session, we are going to discuss about the secure MIME concept. So this S is nothing but secure. We have already discussed the concept of the PGP. Actually, we didn't go deep into the PGP, but I told that PGP is nothing but a pretty good privacy, which provides us the security concepts with respect to the emails. So the same is the purpose with the S-MIME. Both PGP and S-MIME both are used for the same purpose, to give the security to the contents which are going to be sent via the electronic mail. What type of services these two are going to provide is, both of them, they are going to provide us two basic services. One is called the digital signatures, and the second service which it is going to provide us is the encryption or decryption. We know very well about this. The digital signatures provides us the authentication security service. It will make the user who is going to send the email authenticated. That means the receiver will come to know that the mail has been received from the correct or genuine user. And while coming to this encryption and decryption, these encryption and decryption provide us two services. One is called the confidentiality, and the other one it is going to provide is the integrity. Confidentiality is something that you are not going to expose your message to the unauthorized parties, and integrity is a service where the content of the message is not altered during the transmission. So both PGP and S-MIME are going to provide these type of services. Yesterday also we have discussed in the last session. But as I told that this S-MIME remains the standard for the organizations, and PGP remains the standard for the personal purpose. While going into the deep discussions of this S-MIME, let us first start the discussion of this S-MIME with the functions that are provided by the S-MIME. This is very important topic. The entire S-MIME concept will be discussed on how to achieve these enveloped data, signed data, clear signed data, and signed and enveloped data. So please concentrate on this. Is the very important topic we have in the S-MIME. So the S-MIME is going to provide us with four functions. The first one is called as the enveloped data, and the second one is the signed data, the third one is the clear signed data, and the fourth one is the signed and enveloped data. By looking at these particular terms, you can easily identify what service it is going to provide. For example, enveloped data. This means the data is being enveloped. Let us understand like that. So the data is being enveloped. So whenever you have some content to be delivered to your friend, you will simply write it on a paper and you fold that paper and put it inside an envelope, and you write the destination address on the envelope. Unless the envelope reaches the correct destination and the destination is authorized to open that envelope. So nobody in the middle who is going to transmit the message from the sender to the receiver, they are not able to open the envelope. So the envelope provides the confidentiality. So it is not going to disclose the message to the unauthorized third parties. So the envelope data is nothing but it consists of the encrypted content of any type. As I told that it can be of any type. It can be a textual data or it can be a multimedia data like the videos, audio, and it can be picture also. So any content the user wants to send, he can send it, but it will be encrypted if you consider it as the enveloped data. And further, the user can encrypt the encryption keys also. This we will see with a few examples in the coming discussions. So the user is free to encrypt the content encryption keys also. So whenever you want to encrypt a particular content, we know very well that we require the keys. And here you can also encrypt those keys also. This is one of the important security that is going to be provided with this SMIME. So the content requires some keys to be encrypted, and we will again encrypt those keys also. So higher level of security we are going to provide. So that is all about this envelope data. Just simply remember that the envelope data is an encrypted data which cannot be disclosed to the unauthorized users and which provides the confidentiality service to us. And the second type of function that the SMIME is going to provide us is the signed data. This one. The name itself is clear, right? The data is signed. So the digital signature is framed and it is going to be kept on the data. So the digital signature, how it is going to generate, how we are going to generate the digital signature, and what are the requirements we have to create, for creation of this digital signature, everything will be discussed in the coming sessions. But right now you please remember that the digital signatures requires a concept called as message digest. So whatever content the user wants to transmit, that content will be taken, and by making use of that content and some algorithms, you will be preparing a context, or you will be preparing a concept called as the message digest. Once you have this message digest, you will make use of this message digest to create the digital signature. So we have two steps to create the digital signatures. First, you have to take the entire content and you create the message digest. This is first step. And from the message digest, you are going to create the digital signature. So this is called the signed data. Whatever data you want to send from the sender to the receiver, it is going to be signed by either the signer can be the user itself or it can be a third party. So anybody can sign here. So here the user can sign it or the third party. You can make one third party organization to sign your documents on behalf of yourself. This is also valid. And remember that another thing is also possible. It is not necessary that every document requires only one signature. So you can have a series of signatures also. So more than one person, more than two person can sign the documents. But for simplifying the discussions, we will be confining ourselves to the discussion of only one signature. So the signed data is used for providing the authentication service. So once you have the digital signature that is signed on the content, you can then encrypt it using the private key of the signer. So for digital signatures, remember that this is very important. Yesterday also in the last session we have seen that the encryption and decryption algorithms requires the public key of the receiver, whereas for the digital signatures you have to require the private keys of the sender itself. Sender means, as I told, that the user, or it can be a third party, anything is possible. So simply taking it into account, the signed data is nothing but the digitally signed document which provides us the service, the security service, which is called as the authentication. And remember that one important point regarding this signed data is, here after signing you have to perform the encoding. Encoding is nothing but transformation of one format into another format. So here you will be using the encoding concept of base 64. So in the signed data, what you will do is, you will take the content plus the signature and they are encoded into base 64. So what transformation you are going to do and what contents we are going to do the transformation or the encoding of base 64 is, it includes both the contents and the signature part. Both of them are converted into base 64. So what is the advantage of signing both these contents or converting these contents and signature of base 64 is, this signed data message can only be viewed by a recipient with SMIME capability. So in order to view this signed data, the recipient, that means the receiver, should have this SMIME capability. Unless until the receiver has this SMIME installed in his computer or his device, he or she cannot view these contents. This is some extra level of security we are providing. And in the third category we have the clear signed data. So it is similar to that of signed data only, but it is clear. We will tell you what this clear is. So the same process will be followed as that of the signed data only. That means you will take the content and the message digest will be created. From the message digest you create the digital signature. And while coming to the encoding part, here we are not going to encode the contents. We are going to encode only the signature part. So that is why we call it as clear signed data. We are going to encode it only the signature part into base 64. So what happens if you only encode this SMIME, only encode this signature part means, the recipients without the SMIME compatibility can view the message content. The reason is, here the contents have not been transformed. So the recipient, though he is not having the SMIME installed in his device or computer, he can easily view the contents without having this SMIME capability. So that is the only difference that we have between this clear signed data and signed data. And coming to the last one, we have this as the signed and enveloped data. It is a combination, it's a hybrid thing of combining this signed as well as the enveloped data. So signed means you can take both the signed data as well as the clear signed data. Anything is possible, and you are combining these two with the envelope data. So signed only and encrypted only entities may be nested. Nested means keeping one thing inside another thing. That means you can encrypt the data for the signed data, or you can sign the encrypted data. Anything is possible. So the encrypted data may be signed, and signed data may be encrypted. So this is called as nesting. So signing inside encryption or encryption inside signing. So these are all the functions that are provided by the SMIME. And in the next session, in the next slide, we'll see a simple comparison between the SMIME formats for the message body. As we know that every email consists of the header and the body. The message body consists of two different formats, very simple formats. By looking at the term itself, you can identify what these formats are. So there are two formats for the message body that are supported here. One is the native form and the second one is the canonical form. So the term itself is giving an idea that this is native, that means it is local. So the body of the mail which you are going to transmit is created in the systems or in the local systems format. So if the local system is using a 8-bit encoding, it will be prepared, the body is prepared with the 8-bit. If it is making use of the ASCII format, the body of the message will be prepared with the ASCII format. That is called as the native format. Native means local. So the body may be the unique style, or it can make use of the Sun operating system, or it can make use of some audio data which is independent of the format that is stored in the memory. And they can make use of any local formats. That is the point you have to understand. Native means local. Native stands for local. And the second format of message for the SMIME is the canonical form. In the last session, we have seen this term canonicalization. Canonicalization is nothing but standardization. We can also call it as normalization also. So standard format. So you are going to convert the entire body of the message into a format which is universal, universally accepted. Everywhere it is accepted. That is called as the standardization. So this format is called as the canonical form. That means whatever message you prepared from the local format, that is to be transformed into the canonical form, which is widely, universally accepted, but it involves the conversion. So local format has to be converted into standard format. So it involves the conversion of the local character set into the universal character set, or it involves the transformation of audio, or it may involve the compression of data, or it may involve some other transformations. So these are the two formats for which you can make use of for the SMIME message body. So you can create it with the local formats, and then you can convert it into the canonical format, which we also can call it as the universal format. Once we are done with these SMIME formats for message, let us discuss a very important topic in this SMIME, which is the cryptographic algorithms. What are all the different algorithms, cryptographic algorithms that we are going to use in the SMIME? This is very important concept. Before discussing what is this cryptographic algorithms that are going to be used. Let us have, you can see here that you have the must and should. So you should know what this should means, what this must means. Let us check. So this must and should, these are the two terms we are using here. So these must and should are the terms that specify the requirement level. They are going to specify the requirement level. The must specifies that the definition is the mandatory requirement. It is the absolute requirement of the specification. That means it must include this particular algorithm. There is no relaxation. You cannot escape this. So if I say that you must do it, you must include it. That's it. Therefore, this specifies the mandatory. No relaxation will be given. But when you come to this should, if I say that you should do it, in some cases you have the relaxation. You may do it or you may not do it. You may include it or you may not include it. So this is something like optional. So the must means mandatory, and should represents some situations where you can ignore that future, or you can simply leave that future. So that is called as the should. So remember that must is mandatory and should is optional. That's it. And before this discussion on this table, let us see what are all the different cryptographic algorithms that are supported by SMIME. The two services that are provided by the SMIME are, we have already discussed this one. One is the digital signatures, and the second one is encryption and decryption. What are all the algorithms that are used for the digital signatures? What are all the algorithms that are used for the encryption and decryption? That is what we are going to discuss in this particular session. Slide. So the first algorithm that is used for the digital signatures is the DSS. DSS stands for Digital Signature Standard. Therefore, this is an acronym which is formed from this term, Digital Signature Standard. This is an algorithm to create the digital signatures, and this is the most preferred algorithm for the digital signature concept. Very important. And the second one is the Diffie-Hellman algorithm. Diffie-Hellman algorithm. The purpose of this algorithm is for the encryption. Remember, this is for encryption and decryption, but the encryption and decryption is done for the session keys. It is not for the original keys, it is done for the session keys. What do you mean by this session key? Means these keys are generated for that particular session only. So once we are done with the session, the keys are simply neglected. So that is the purpose of the session keys. So the Diffie-Hellman algorithm is defined, or this is used in the SMIME to encrypt and decrypt the session keys. Other than this Diffie-Hellman algorithm, we have another algorithm that is supported by the SMIME, which is called as the Elgamal algorithm. So this Elgamal algorithm is also for encryption and decryption. And other than this, we can also use one more algorithm which is very important, that is the RSA algorithm. The importance of this RSA algorithm or the flexibility of this RSA algorithm is that it is used both for the digital signatures plus encryption and decryption. So that is the power of this RSA. So the single algorithm serves both the purposes. It is used for both the signatures as well as the encryption of the session keys. Remember that these algorithms are similar to that of the algorithms that are used in the PGP also. Both PGP also makes use of this DSS, Diffie-Hellman, Elgamal and RSA. And the purpose is similar. DSS is used for the digital signatures, and Diffie-Hellman and Elgamal is used for the encryption and decryption of session keys. And if you come to the RSA, it is used for both digital signatures as well as the encryption and decryption. So these are all the 4 algorithms that we are going to use. And other than this, we also have some of the algorithms that are not that much stronger. Like RC2. I'm writing on this right side. So another algorithm is RC2. It is a 40-bit algorithm. Right. And another algorithm that we are going to use in this SMIME is 3DES. We already have a session on this 3DES, which is also called as triple DES. So this RC2 and triple DES, these are used for encryption and decryption of the original message. So whatever content you want to encrypt, that you are going to encrypt it by making use of this RC2 or 3DES. Out of these two, you can say that the 3DES is very familiar. Why? Because this is the strongest algorithm and RC2 is the weakest algorithm. Why we are using this weak algorithm for the encryption and decryption of the message means there are some situations where the sender is very strong that he can make use of any algorithm. But assume that there are some client systems which does not have the strength or which does not have the capability to handle those strong encryption algorithms. In such situations, you should have some compromise. That means the sender has to compromise himself. That the receiver is not able to receive the messages, or he is not in a position to accept the messages and decrypt the messages. So for this purpose, okay, let us go one step behind, and then let us make use of the weaker algorithm, encryption algorithm, which is nothing but the RC2, which makes use of only 40 bits. So this is RC2 is a very weak algorithm, but it is following some guidelines, or it is following some US standards. That is the reason why we can confidently use this RC2 also. Right. And other than this, very important, other than this, while discussing the concept of digital signatures in the previous slides, I told that digital signatures require a concept called as the message digest. In short form, we can call it as MD. And this message digest is prepared from the content. This also we know. Whatever content is there, from that you prepare the message digest. and there should be some supporting algorithms to create this message digest. So the algorithms that are used to support this message digest are MD5 and SHA-1, secure hash algorithm 1. Other than this SHA-1, you can also go for SHA-256, but when you go for this SHA-256, remember that you always have to keep in mind, that means the sender has always to keep in mind about the capabilities of the receiver also. If the receiver is not capable of decoding this SHA-256, or it is not able to accept this SHA-256, there is no other choice that you have to go for the SHA-1 only. So the compatibility of the sender and receiver is very much important when you are transmitting the electronic mails from the sender to the receiver. So these are all the different algorithms that can be used in the SMIME concept. The first one is DSS, which is digital standard signature standards, which is the preferred signature algorithm, and it is only used for the digital signatures. And the Diffie-Hellman algorithm, both are used for the encryption and decryption of session keys. Similarly, the RSA, it is a combination of both digital signature algorithm and encryption and decryption algorithm. Other than this, the encryption and decryption of the original messages can be done either by using the 3DES or somewhat weaker encryption algorithm, which is RC2. And two more algorithms that we are going to use to create the message digest is the MD5 or SHA-1. So these are the list of algorithms that can be used in this SMIME. Now let us go into this description, the table description. So this is the function what the SMIME is going to give us, and this is the requirement. So the first one is to create a message digest to be used in forming a digital signature. That is what I told. The digital signature always requires a concept called as the message digest, and that message digest is going to be prepared from the actual content. So this digital signature requires a creation of message digest. So what are the algorithms that we can use? I told that you can make use of MD5 and SHA-1. So the sender must support, must means it is mandatory. So the sender must support SHA-1, and the receiver should support MD5 for the backward compatibility. This is what I told. You should be very careful what capabilities the receiver is having. So don't just go, the sender should not go directly hitting the receiver. So the sender should keep in track of the capabilities of the receiver. It should have the backward compatibility. So the receiver should support MD5 or backward compatibility also, for the backward compatibility. And the second one is, the functionality is encrypting the message digest to form a digital signature. So whatever message digest that is created by using the SHA-1 or MD5, it is going to be encrypted here. And here the requirements are, the sending and receiving agents must support DSS, digital signature standard. Must, mandatory. And there are some other options also. The sending agent should support RSA encryption, and the receiving agents should support verification of RSA signature with the size of keys which are greater than 512 bits. So everything was explained, right? So the DSS is used for the digital signatures. RSA is used for both the digital signatures as well as the encryption and decryption of the session keys. And similarly, RSA algorithm is used for the encryption and decryption. And after you encrypt the message digest to form the digital signature, the third one is encrypting the session key for transmission with a message. So here you can use the Diffie-Hellman algorithm or the RSA also. LGML can be used, that's a different case. So the sending and receiving agents should support the Diffie-Hellman, and the sending, other option is the sending and receiving agent must support RSA encryption. But if it is a must, it should have, if it is an RSA, it should have a key size which is equal to 512, which should be in the range of 512 to 1024 bits. And this is the fourth point, where after encrypting the session key, you have to encrypt the message which is intended for the transmission with this session key. Whatever session key you have generated here and whatever session key you have encrypted here, that is used to encrypt the thing, encrypt the entire message. So for this purpose, the sending and receiving agents must support encryption with triple DES. This one I told, right? So the original message is going to be encrypted with 3DES or RC240. So both the sending and receiving agents must support, in order to have this functionality, both the sending and receiving agents must support the encryption with triple DES. Otherwise, the sending agents should support the encryption with AES also. And the sending agent should support the encryption with RC240. Anything is possible. And the last one is create a message authentication code. This is done by making use of support of HMAC with SHA-1 and HMAC with both the receiving agent and the sending agent should have the support of HMAC. So that is the description about the various cryptographic algorithms that can be used in the SMIME. And once we have a clear idea of what these cryptographic algorithms can be used inside this SMIME, let us have a small discussion on what are the requirements, what are the rules that is to be followed between the sending agent and the receiving agent. There should be some rules, right? You cannot directly send an email to the receiver from the sender. So the receiving agent and the sending agent, here is the sender agent and here is the receiving agent. Both of them has to have some understanding in order to have the correct transmission between the sender and the receiver of the electronic mails. So the importance should be given to the receiving agent only. As I told that the sender has to keep track, or they have to give some importance to the receiving agent's ability. So the sending agent has two decisions to make. The first decision is the sending agent must determine if the receiving agent is capable of decrypting the messages that are sent from the sender. So he should have an idea of the capability of the receiving agents. The second decision is if the receiving agent is only capable of accepting weak encryption content. So the receiver is not able to accept the content, the highest secured encryption data. He is not in a position to decrypt the things. So in such case, what happens is, as I told, that the sending agent has to go one step behind and he has to check himself. That means the sender has to check himself whether he is going to send the data with the capabilities of the receiver or not. As I told, that assume that the sender is going to make use of the 3DES for the encryption of the message, but receiving agent is not capable of making it with the 3DES. He wants some weaker encryption technique, for example RC2. So the sender, before sending the data with the 3DES, it has to ask the receiving agent, I am going to use this 3DES, whether you are able to receive it or not. If the receiving agent replies it that I cannot handle your 3DES, so please make it convenient with the RC2, then the sending agent has to decide on whether he can go down to the RC2 or not. So if he goes down to the RC2, he has to bear the compromising of the message during the transmission. So less encryption means there is a lot of possibility that the message will be message will be stealed by the unauthorized third party actors. So he has to decide whether the sending agent, whether I should go to RC2. If I go to RC2, is there any disadvantage I have? Like that, those decisions has to be taken in the second. So for this purpose, what is the best suitable solution is, the sending agent, what he will do is, he will simply make an announcement. He will simply make an announcement saying that these are the algorithms that I am going to use, 3DES or RC2, and these are the decrypting capabilities. These are the encrypting capabilities that I have. So if anybody is interested, they can just come to me. That is the announcement they will make. I am just explaining it in terms of easy words to understand the things. So once the announcement is done on its decrypting capabilities, then those decrypting capabilities will be kept, or they are stored at the receiving agent's database. So how many receiving agents will be there? There are n number of receiving agents. So the same message can be sent to different receiving agents, can be sent to different receivers. So we have n number of receiving agents, and the sending agent capabilities will be stored inside the receiving agents. So they will react based upon the request or the announcement which was received by the receiving agents. So let us see 4 cases here. Case 1. So if the sending agent has a list of preferred decrypting capabilities, the sender is ready with these decryption capabilities, and these decrypting capabilities are for one receiver only, one recipient. In such case, it should choose the best or the highest preference capability on the list that is capable of using. So the best encryption or the decryption capability should be selected. And in case 2, let us assume that the sending agent has no such list of capabilities. Here the sender agent is having the list of capabilities. I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, like this. 1, 2, 3, like that. When it is intended to send a message, the sender has to select the best suitable encryption technique, the highest preference, highest preferred encryption technique can be used. But here there is no list of such preferred capabilities. So what is that he can do? This time he can ask the receivers or the recipient to send their capabilities. So once the recipient receives this message, he can the recipient or the receiving agent can send their capabilities, and based upon the capabilities, the sending agent can make a list of particular his own capabilities. What are the capabilities we have with the encryption? What are the capabilities that I can make use of for the signatures? What is that I can do it for the message digest? All these things they will prepare. And in case 3, the sending agent has no idea of the capabilities of the receiver. He has absolutely no knowledge, zero knowledge about the decryption capabilities of the recipient, and he wants to risk the recipient. In such case, he can go for the highest secured, most secured algorithm, that is, he can go for the 3DS. He is not bothered about the recipient's capabilities. Why? Because he has no idea of the recipient capabilities. So he will directly take the 3DS algorithm and he will encrypt it and he will send it. But there is a problem here, that the receiver is unable to catch that message, and he is unable to decrypt that message. And the last case is, here also the sending agent has no idea of the decryption capabilities of the intended recipient, and this time he doesn't want to risk the recipient. So this time he is not going to use the highest secured algorithm like the 3DS. He will be going with the RC2 algorithm, which is somewhat weaker than 3DS. So these are all the different cases where the sending agent and the receiving agent has to come upon an agreement before sending and receiving the messages. Messages in the sense emails. So in the first case, if the user has preferred list of decryption capabilities, he can choose the best decryption. He can choose the best algorithm and best preference, and he can send the message. Second case, there is no list of preferred decryption capabilities. In such case, he must ask the recipient to send his capabilities. Once the receiving agent has sent his capabilities, then he can do it accordingly. And in case 3, there is absolutely no idea about the decryption capabilities of the intended recipient. In such case, if he wants to risk the recipient, he can use the most secured algorithm, which is 3DS. And in the last case, no idea of the recipient capabilities, and this time he doesn't want to risk the recipient, so he will go for the less or the weaker encryption algorithm, which is RC2. So once we are done with this particular concept of the SMIME encryption algorithms, in the next session we'll have a discussion on the SMIME messages. So in today's session we have discussed the concept of the SMIME, why this is used. The main reason for using this SMIME is for the secure transformation of email content with multi-purpose internet mail extensions. The two services that are provided are the digital signatures and the encryption. And these are the functions we have discussed on this SMIME, like the envelope data, which is used for encryption of content, and the signed data is used for the digital signatures. Clear signed data is similar to that of signed data, but here we are not going to encrypt the content. Therefore, the recipients who does not have the SMIME capability can also view the content. Whereas in signed data, both the contents and signature is going to be encrypted or not encrypted, that is called as transformed into base 64. So the SMIME capability agents, receiving agents, can only view the contents, And the last one is signed and enveloped data, which is a combination of both the signed and enveloped data. It is a nesting of signed and enveloped data. And then we have gone through the different formats of messages of body that is used in the SMIME. Native format and the canonical format. Native format is local, and that should be converted into canonical format to be universal. And finally, we have seen the SMIME cryptographic algorithms, where we have seen various different algorithms that are used, like the DSS, which is used for the digital signatures, the Diffie-Hellman algorithm, which is used for the encryption and decryption of session keys, the Algol-Mal algorithm, which is used for the encryption and decryption of session keys, RSA, which is a hybrid algorithm which can make both the digital signatures and the encryption and decryption. Similarly, we have seen two algorithms which are used for the encryption and decryption of the original messages, that is the 3DS and RC240. And for the digital signatures, we require a concept called as the message digest, and for the message digest, we are going to use the MD5 or SHA-1 for preparation of the MD, message digest. So these are, after this we have discussed the agreements that should happen between the sending agent and the receiving agent while before the transmission of mail takes place between the sender and the receiver. So we have 4 cases, and that's all for today's session. This is the end of today's session. Thank you one and all for joining the session.